will more often about Auburn and Penn State. We're now joined by Ricky Thompson, former Baylor and Washington wide receiver, the old Redskins back in the day, and also sideline reporter for Baylor Radio on Sikkim 365 Radio. Ricky, I know who they've beaten. They should have beaten. But again, you played the game. Is that always a dangerous thing when we go, yeah, but that's what they should do? A win is a win, and they look good now when they're doing it with what they're doing on the offensive line.
Yeah, I see both sides of this thing, Smoke. I know these are teams that you and I both know if we would have lost one of these three games, people would be jumping off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Texas State could have played better. Texas Southern was Texas Southern. I thought Saturday proved to me, I think this football team's better than people think. I just think there's some pieces in place where this team could be pretty good. We'll learn a lot about that Saturday. I know Kansas. I know the history. I know their record in the past. But I tell you what, the way these kids played Saturday was impressive. The second half, this game was domination. The 45-7 really doesn't tell the story. I thought our offensive and defensive fronts both dominated this football game. I thought Gary Bohannon was exceptional. Our running backs were good. Squirrel probably is back this week. Defensively, we're just solid across the board. We'll find out Saturday, but I think this team is pretty good. You get no attention nationally, obviously, until you beat somebody like an Iowa State or Oklahoma State or somebody, but I think that's coming. I really do. I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far.
Ricky, they truly are. Matt Rule tried his time here to have a truly complimentary football team, and whether that sustains it through the season, we'll see. But so far through three games, their offense and defense are completely complementary, and Dave Aranda seems to have found the offensive system that makes that happen, didn't he?
Absolutely, and I thought the second half Saturday was probably as impressive a half as they've had thus far. I thought they completely dominated that game. Obviously, the first half dominated that as well, except on the scoreboard. And guys, we know that's the part that counts.
Mm-hmm.
But they came out, had a 3-and-out, go 69 yards to R.J. Sneed on the very first play. By the way, who was escorted the last 20 yards by Tyquan Thornton, which is, I thought, was a very impressive play by Tyquan to be down there blocking for RJ, because he would not have scored without him. But we're talking about 3 plays and out on defense. 1 play, you're up 21-7. And I really think that play ended the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it wasn't over, but that turned it because Kansas had a little momentum. We took it away in 4 plays in the second half. And from that point forward, I thought we really dominated. And guys, these running backs are pretty good. You watch them and the way they run, and Treston Ebner in particular, to me, has changed the way he runs the football. I think this wide zone is really good for him because you pick your holes, you can cut back. But the difference in Treston that I see is downfield, this dude's running hard, guys. He is running past people. He's breaking tackles. I think he has looked really good. And Abram Smith, this guy's tough. He's downhill. Tay Williams the other day looked very good. We haven't seen Squirrel. We know the receivers. And the other side of this, to me, we've been plain vanilla. We've done nothing extraordinarily, just really ordinary. I don't think we've done anything tricky on offense. It's just been straightforward, wide zone, play action, waggle type passes, and we've been pretty successful at it.
Ricky, when's the last time you saw a Baylor football fullback score a touchdown?
Saturday, and before that, I don't remember one.
Yeah. It's a nice wrinkle, huh?
Yeah.
I told the guys from the sideline, not on that play, but have you ever seen your middle linebacker play fullback? Dylan Doyle's out there on a 4th and short playing fullback, and I'm not so sure before the season's over they may not hand it to him. That guy's 240 and can run pretty well. I would hate to try to tackle him. I'd have to untie his shoes.
So we will know, obviously, and Iowa State has had that test early with Iowa. We know how good Iowa can be and how fundamentally strong they are and how they play with Kurt Ferentz. Is there any similarity whatsoever to what you saw early on in 2019 to what you're seeing now?
Yes, and it's confidence. I think these guys are really confident in what they're doing. I think the staff has done a good job in making them believe that they can be really good. I think they believe that. I see these, and we're dropping names, but go back to Charlie Brewer in 19 and a couple of the runs he made where he really took guys head on, and how the offensive linemen ran down to him and they really rallied around Charlie. And I think that's what I've seen on offense this year. These guys love Gary Bohannon, and he's earned that. He's played really hard. He's made good decisions, and he's always smiling out there. He's leading these guys. They like him. They believe in him. Defensively, Terrell Bernard, Petrie, all these guys that have been here for this length of time, and they like each other. You know, we kind of laugh at that, but I do think that's important. Every good team I've been a part of, the guys got along and they liked each other and they played hard for each other. And we mentioned Taekwon running 60 yards downfield, blocking for his teammate who is a receiver. You know, Taekwon would rather have had the ball. But, I think it's really similar in the fact that they believe in each other. They're playing hard, and the scheme's good. I see some similarities. We still got to get that win over a really good team, and I think Saturday's going to be a heck of a football game.
Ricky, you mentioned Treston Ebner and the way he's running now, that he'll throw his shoulder into somebody without question. He was not doing that a year ago at all. He was dancing in the hole. He was dancing whenever he was out in space. Is that a function of this offensive system that kind of has to train that out of you because you can't dance in a hole? You got to pick your spot and go.
Well, no, Paul, you're on the money. And I think that's the way this wide zone works. You have these offensive linemen who aren't necessarily having to blow people off the ball. They have the wide zone. They've got the push in the same direction with the counter in the backfield, and then they pick their holes. It's a little different in the days of you're going to run in the 2-hole, 4-hole, and it doesn't matter if there's 14 people stacked there. That's where you're going to go. These guys have that option, and that really fits Treston well. But I still think he's changed. Paul, as you mentioned, downfield, he still got sideways when he went even downfield, and he's not doing that anymore. And he nearly broke a couple for really long games this past Saturday, and he's going to do that based on the way he's running with the football. And I think that's a function of the offense and a function of these coaches working with Treston and telling him what he needs to do to be a great running back.
Ricky, we saw that quarterback competition go up until a couple of weeks before the season. I think, a lot of people thought that Gary Bohannon would probably eventually win that job. He's not only won it, but now through 3 games, he's played exceptionally well. Now, this weekend, he'll have, live bullets coming at him in a way that he hasn't seen so far and that we haven't seen so far. But given who they've, had to go line up against, what have you thought about his performance and just the different dynamics, not only with the arm and the throws that he can make that they haven't been able to make in a while, but also, we saw on Saturday he wasn't running much, and all of a sudden there he is running up the middle for a touchdown, just to, another wrinkle in this offense.
Well, Craig, I tell you, I don't know how you ask really for a better start in the 3 games than what Gary Bohannon has had. You can only play against who you're playing against.
Right.
And he has done some really exceptional things. One thing I was telling JJ after the game, as we've watched these 3, is he really it's tough to run a waggle for a quarterback right-handed going to his left. And we've seen him do that time and again and throw the ball with some zip 15, 20 yards down the field. We've seen him throw a 10-yard sideline route. You think, well, that's nothing. Well, yeah, it is when you're on the other hash and you're having to throw the ball 40 yards for a 10-yard gain. We haven't been able to do that the last 3 or 4 years. That's something that's in our offense now that we've just not been able to do. And he seems to be. We'll find out more Saturday, obviously, but he's unflappable. You just watch him, and he never gets nervous. He stays calm. He makes a bad play. He just goes to the next one. And I'm not sure that'll change even against Iowa State. Now, better team, better defense. He's going to have to be really careful delivering the ball. He's going to have to protect it. But I think he'll do that. I just think Gary's going to get better and better.
That throw he made, which is one of those, my God, what are you doing, but has the arm strength to almost go somewhat sideways with the defensive back in the area to the near sideline, to me was insane. That play, that doesn't mean it was always a smart thing to do, but he got it there and it had something on it.
Well, scared me to death when he let go of it. He was flat-footed with 2 feet facing straight downfield. And the ball was thrown, as you said, to the Kansas sideline with the defender between he and the receiver. Laid it over the top, perfect throw, sideline route, great catch. Not many guys can make that throw. Not many guys would have tried to make that throw. And I think that's just a sign of the confidence and the ability and the arm strength in Gary Bohannon. You mentioned, too, the running. Ran with the ball more Saturday than he has all season, and I thought he ran with some authority. And I think Smoak, as we go forward into these bigger games, he's going to have to run the ball some, and I think he welcomes that.
Overall, and I know you spend a lot of your time, you're traveling, you're doing the games, but I have not. I know Alabama's good, and they had to fight at Florida, but Florida's obviously a tough place to play, and they had a pretty good lead in Florida. Here they are going for 2 to try to force overtime. I haven't seen anybody that's unbeatable. I haven't seen anybody that doesn't mean people won't get better. Baylor may get better. Iowa State could get better. Alabama will get better. But how much have you watched the landscape of college football so far this year?
Well, I watch as much as I can. I love to just watch the ball games. But how about Ohio State and Tulsa? Tulsa hung in there deep into the second half in that ball game at Ohio State. So Oregon really handed it to them at home. So you're right. I don't think anybody's unbeatable. Alabama seemed to be that early, but Florida had a chance to stick that game into overtime. So much different landscape. I think even in the Big 12, we may see some of the same. Baylor, TCU, some of these middle-of-the-pack teams, as they're predicted, or even lower, may be better than you think. So it's a crazy season already. And we're 3 games in?
Yeah.
This could get really, really intense down toward the end of the season to see who those 4 playoff teams might be.
The 4 playoff teams, conferences, bragging rights. You got the haves and have-nots. You got some teams that feel like they have to prove they belong, and some that are trying to audition. Should be one hell of a year. Ricky, look forward to Saturday. Craig, another question for him? That's what I asked earlier.
Yeah. Ricky, final thing for you.
Okay.
It's all been really good for Baylor for the most part, but I will say I do have one concern so far, and I'm just wondering if you share it. Does the lack of a pass rush concern you at this point?
Well, yes. I mean, without one, there are teams that are going to pick you apart if you let that guy sit back there. I think that against Texas State, we went after him pretty well. I thought that kid did a great job of scrambling, making it tough for us to bring him down. I think something you may see, Craig, against these better teams, and we're about to see a quarterback that is capable of throwing interceptions. We had 3 on him last year. I mean, the kid's really good, but we picked him off 3 times. In fact, Petrie had a pick 6. So, but a lot of that comes with having that rush. And I think, too, that maybe we haven't brought the attack that we're capable of with bringing some guys off the corner, bringing some extra guys. I think there's some things there where we've been pretty simple so far. So I think that might be, and this is nothing I know from coaches, it's just a guess, that I think you might see a little more activity with some guys like Terrell Bernard, Jalen Petrie coming after the quarterback this coming week, which will enhance that pass rush. And I think you can do that with your two corners. Tejada, 6-year guy, he can cover. I just think based on that you may see some more guys come. But without a pass rush in the Big 12, you're in trouble, Craig.
Yeah, thank you, Ricky. Appreciate it. I just had somebody on the text line. Is this Ricky Thompson you're speaking to? Played for the Washington Redskins, now the football team? From the 972 area code. Yes, sir, it is. The Ricky Thompson who did that.
Do you all have that same concern? I mean, I know, here's the thing, is they got into the backfield against Brady McBride a few times, but they couldn't get a hold of him. And then Jason Bean, we know he's just super athletic, which is why he was one of the players to watch last week, and he's got a lot of work to do, but you see why he's dangerous. And I just worry that if Apu and, Chidi Ogbanaya or whoever lines up front, that's like, I know the linebackers can come up. I know they can send the corners or the safeties on occasion, but where are the big dudes up front that are busting it open? And they're shutting down run games, but they're not really getting loose and causing havoc in the backfield. And maybe they are holding off a little bit. I don't know, but that is my biggest concern as of now.
It should be. No one's perfect. They're not perfect.
Yeah.
And that's why when you get a game like this, you learn a lot about yourself. Maybe you're better than you think, or maybe you're not quite as good. And in some cases, it could give her. Earlier today, Dave Aranda and Ricky, thanks for your time. They just said, you got to be kidding me. I am now a fan of the shows for life because we had Ricky Thompson on the show.
Sweet.
That's great. Great thing. Thanks for the text from the 972. Earlier today, Dave